Hi, my name is Lev Perry. I'm the Director of Product Management with Universal Audio. We're here at NAMM 2013 with a bunch of really amazing announcements. Starting last year, going back a little bit, we announced Apollo. Apollo's been out again for about a year now, and we're happy to report that it's the #1 interface in its class. Customers love it. It's won more awards than any other product, and we're just really happy to be talking about that. But really, the new announcements are really exciting because for the last year we've been Mac only and one interface only, and now we're announcing that we're going to have multi-unit capability with Apollo. Customers are going to be able to add on a second Apollo, effectively doubling their I/O count, doubling their DSP count, but it doesn't really stop there. What we decided to do, instead of having just one mixer and having you flip between the two, we've actually got it so that you can show two Apollos working together as one. So here's the first interface, and then here's the second interface. So really elegant, really easy to use. We're aggregating the GUI in this nice wide mixer. We also aggregate the mix buses, so you can have a common monitor bus, two headphone buses, two headphone mixes, and also a common aux bus, so you can have like a global reverb between the two interfaces. So it's a really great story of how you can expand out, really track a band. You got 8 mic pre's, 16 total analog in and out, another 12 digital I/O, as well as the headphone out. So you really do have a fully blown system for recording, tracking, doing anything that you need to do. And so that's multi-unit cascading coming in the first half of 2013.
How many units can we cascade?
So right now it's going to be 2. We'll definitely entertain the idea of doing more, but we're starting simple, add on a second Apollo, double your I/O. But if customers want more, we'll definitely look into doing that. Some of the other things that are sort of less obvious from the show floor here is we're showing off a new Pro Tools mode. Now, Pro Tools mode is, for the Apollo customers using Pro Tools, there's a couple of things that we wanted to do for them they've been asking for. The first is when you use hardware inserts, you want to use outboard analog equipment with Apollo. All of the I/O doesn't line up today, so we're adding this Pro Tools mode that lines up all of the analog, all of the ADAT, and all of the SPDIF I/O, so you truly can do 18 channels of hardware inserts if you so desire. The other thing that we're doing, which is really big, is when you have multi-unit and Pro Tools mode turned on, you're going to be able to see all 32 channels from 2 interfaces coming in, because actually one Apollo has 28 in and 24 out by the time you're done with just one. So we made sure that when you have 2 interfaces, all the analog and all the digital are going to show up perfectly inside of Pro Tools, fitting in within that 32 channel limit. Okay, so the next thing that's really, really cool is a lot of new plugin announcements. We're really, really excited about just a ton of plugins coming very soon. So the first thing I want to talk about is the LA2A suite. Now there's 3 of these plugins going all the way back to the original LA2. This is before the LA2A. And what we've done here is captured 50 years of design and innovation on the world's most loved vocal compressor. So again, starting out with the LA2, we've got the LA2A Gray, the LA2A Silver Face, and again, this is really capturing all the different nuances of the amplifier, of the T4 cells. Those are the major things that have changed over the years. The T4 element, which really changes the sound. You can take an old T4, put it in a new LA2A, and really get the sound of a vintage unit.
So for those that don't know, the T4 element?
So the T4 is an electro-optical cell. It really is a thing that triggers the compression. It's got a nice, smooth characteristic that really just lends itself great to vocals, great for bass. Those are the things that it just shines on, but really it can be used on anything. People use it on drums, of course, but we think of it as the world's best vocal compressor. For those not familiar with Universal Audio, we actually make the LA2A by hand in hardware form today in Scotts Valley. So going back and looking at the different eras of LA2As has been a lot of fun for us, because we get a lot of validation saying, yeah, we're still doing it the right way in hardware, but now bringing that love and that attention to detail to the software domain. Our original LA2A plugin has been out for about 10 years now, and we've learned so much about how to physically model a piece of hardware that we went back and redid all 3 of the major units from scratch in software. And again, what's really cool is the fact that you can actually use it on Apollo on the front end while you're tracking, or you can use it in a mix that you've already done. So you really have the option to track with it or mix master with it. So that's the LA2A suite. Now if you own an LA2A in a UAD system or an Apollo, you're going to get these plugins at half price, all 3 for $149. If you don't own the LA2A, $299 for all 3. So again, a great deal either way, an amazing sounding. Very similar to a refresh that we did last year when we did the 1176s. Again, we took 2 years to go and redo all of the 1176s. We're now doing the same thing with the LA2A. I keep talking about last year because we made a lot of announcements. We talked about Apollo, but we also made a huge partnership announcement with our friends over at API. Now API, of course, world-renowned company, some of the best analog equipment that you can buy in the market, and we're very happy to announce these new 500 series plugins, the 550A, a vintage module, the best one that we could find, and a 560 graphic EQ. Now, if nothing else, these things are known as being amazing on guitars, amazing on drums, but they really are workhorses. They work on just about everything, and they really do sound just like the hardware. So, unlike a regular 500 series module, you can put these on every single track. It's not going to be necessarily as cost prohibitive. So customers are really excited to put, a 500 series EQ on everything. So we're excited about that too, and the fact that you can also record with those things live on input is really what customers want to do with it. They just want to plug in their guitar and start tracking, EQing on the way in, and you can definitely do that so easily with these plugins. These two plugins are going to also come in a bundle, also for $299, and these plugins are just, again, incredible, great to use on the front end. Next, but certainly not least, Apollo has had tons of success in the market, tons of love, but the customers are screaming, give us guitar amps, give us guitar amps. And we're so excited to announce that we've actually partnered up with our newest UAD direct developer in Softube. Now Softube are a company that make great plugins, but these amp room plugins are especially appealing to us because we really wanted guitar amps for our customers. So they brought amp room over to the UAD platform. You can use these on Apollo with no latency on the front end, and you can use them as UAD plugins in your DAW. So some of the unique things about the GUI, I can just swipe over and change the amplifier. This is vintage amp room, by the way. And the other fun thing is that you can actually take the microphone, move it forward, move it back. Once you get to the close part, you can actually change the on and off axis positioning. And when you do this with guitar signal going, you'll actually hear the phase relationship of the microphone change to the cabinet, just like it would be in a studio with a microphone and a cabinet. Now that's vintage amp room. Next in the suite is metal amp room. This is for the more aggressive sounds. If you're into metal, punk, thrash, hardcore, grindcore, whatever it is, you've got more aggressive sounding amplifier and two microphones. So you can see there's a dynamic and a condenser, and you can actually blend between the two. Right over here, there's a little slider that goes between the two microphones. And of course I can swipe over, get a different cabinet, get a totally different sound. And again, you really hear this really amazing change in the phase relationship, change in the sound of the amplifier because it's being emulated as if it's in a room. In this case, a more concrete, lively room. Last but certainly not least, we've got bass amp room. So the bass players are covered here too. We're really stoked about that. And you get the amplifier, you get 3 different cabinets, large, medium, and small, as we like to say. And again, the really cool mic positioning, very easy to change around. And for the slider on the bottom of this plugin, we've got a really cool thing here that's not going between 2 mics, but going between the microphone and the DI, just like you do on an interface or a recording console. You can blend between the two very easily. So that's just a great thing because you're going to be able to get a really great bass sound on the way in. Or the other thing that I like to show off about bass amp room or metal amp room or any of these is that in the console over here, this is not a new feature. We've had this since day one. This is the record versus monitor with effects switch. And what it does, very simply, is allow you to record the effects on the way in, or just to monitor with the effects in low latency. And why that's really great with the guitar amp plugins is you can set it over to just monitor with the effects. You're tracking and you're listening with the great amplifier sound built in, but you're not actually committing the sound. So after you record your sound, go into your DAW, put up these amp room plugins on the track, and you can start to reamp, you can start to move the microphone around, change the amplifier altogether, and it's just a great workflow, totally non-destructive. And again, you did this all with no latency. So your DAW can be set at any buffer you want, but this thing is always going to have sub 2 millisecond latency with plugins on the input. And plus, you can actually use any of the other UAD plugins along with amp room, and you'd actually get, some cool effects, some cool reverb, some cool delays. We've got some great tape echoes. So all of that can be done right inside of our console, and you can build up, your virtual guitar studio very easily. So that's it for the software on the plugin side, the console side. Also generally, we're showing off that Apollo is now fully cross-platform, Mac and PC, and fully 64-bit on Mac and PC. So again, a really great message. Customers have been asking for 64-bit compatibility. A lot of Apollo customers literally bought Apollos waiting for the Windows functionality to show up. That's now shipping, and customers can check out that now. So that's all from NAMM 2013. You know, we've got tons of great stuff here. Got a lot of great demos on. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. And thank you very much.